Kosi Igbo?
Mm-hmm. You can ask for what part of Igbo land, right? Okay. The tribe.
I don't. You know that thing.
The tribe. That's why I move my mouth closer to the mic. What is it about the tribe that triggers you? The pray tell.
Is the way people use it. I don't know if you've noticed when they say tribe.
The sense of otherness.
It's the same way they use immigrants.
I know.
Have you ever heard a British person refer to themselves as an immigrant?
They would never, even if they are immigrants somewhere else. I'm British.
They will say expats.
Yes, now.
So that's why I use those words deliberately to claim those words,
Okay.
And I prefer to say my people.
Or my
ethnicity. Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you.
You can't hear my writing, my this thing, right? My keyboard. I
hear a little bit of thumping, but not as annoying as it used to be before. But you know what? Then
that's partly why I use my mic. I have noise cancellation turned on.
But you know what also helps, because I record on 3 separate.
Actually, I just realized. No. It should work now. Okay. So let's see. Let's try something. Can you still hear it? So I just turned on voice isolation.
Whatever.
Voice isolation is like noise cancellation, but for the other person.
I hear. Is that Apple thing? I don't want to hear anymore.
It's technology. It's not my fault if it's not on Android.
Speak to the hands, okay? Because the ears are not listening. People are like vegans. You just want to keep converting people to your cult. Sorry, Blessings. You're witnessing that atrocity that is Ayomide and his love for Apple. All right. All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. This is the Merciful Podcast with Mo and
Ayomide.
For those who don't get that inside joke, let me be Captain Obvious. That's how Ayomide sounds. It's spotty internet. It's just as well that he's into the character.
Sorry, that's me scratching. I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about.
Did you scratch? What's that thing Farida said? Shower records. All right, today, I don't know why we even started this episode laughing, but I think laughter is a good medicine. And speaking of medicine, let's today, on a very much sober note, it's October. October has many significance. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's also my birthday. Not that those two things are linked, but today on the show, we have someone whose story we're going to explore. And I'll start by prefacing that when I was in my teens, I recall there was a time I was in boarding school. I think I was in my first year or second year, and I had to go home for like some medical treatment because I started having, my boobs were really hurting. I had some lumps on my boobs and it was very painful. So much so that when I was doing my physical, like PE, I couldn't jump, I couldn't run. And my mom took me to the doctor and they did all the scans and they found out that it was just my milk producing glands coming out. So that was why I was having so much pain. But I'll say that has been the closest I've had to kind of like a scare around maybe cancer or, around my breast area. But for some women, the case is not so. And as someone in the cancer research field, we're seeing a spate of young Nigerians, especially females, being diagnosed with breast cancer, and the same for their male counterparts. And today on the podcast, we'll be exploring one such story. Compared to older women, the diagnosis of breast cancer in young women has more lasting implications because the disease tends to be more aggressive, is diagnosed at a late stage with reduced survival rates and also increased rate of recurrence. Additional issues that they might face might include early menopause, fertility issues, or even reduced productivity at work. Now, in this person's late 30s, precisely in August of 2022, they discovered a tiny lump in their right breast. They had a lumpectomy, which turns out to be receptors positive breast cancer. As you can imagine, her whole world and that of her family came crumbling before their very eyes. The good news is that she's putting up a fight and she has a positive attitude, which I think you're going to see a lot of it being infused into this episode. Today, she's a practicing medical laboratory scientist who worked with harmful chemicals to save other people's lives, which was her joy. She was also a COVID-19 active and exceptional frontliner while it lasted. And from what I gathered, a lot of this started after she received the vaccine, which we might explore, in bits. She has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's 39. She has she's the mother to two amazing kids, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. She also describes herself as a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and has a loving husband. Today we are exploring the story of someone I met, ironically, during a cancer fellowship 3 years ago at the National Cancer Institute. We were both fellows at the NCI, and she came from Nigeria. I came from Oklahoma, but it was a fellowship that had people from all over the world, the best, the young, bright minds, doing cancer research and in various capacities. And Kosi was one of them. But everyone join us in welcoming Blessing Nkechi Ugboaja, also known as Kosi or Blessing, to the podcast. Hi, Kosi.
Hi, Kosi.
Hi, Ayomide. Thank you for having me.
And where's your ethnicity? Like, what group are you from? I know you're Igbo, but what part of Igbo land are you from?
Anambra.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the podcast. And so I think you're a medical laboratory scientist. You're married with 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we already know what your current story is right now with the cancer diagnosis you got about 2 months ago. But just tell us about your, childhood life and experiences growing up in Nigeria.
My childhood is a very, let me say, low-key one. We lived in my small village. My village is a very small place. We all know ourselves. The entire village, like we know ourselves. So it's not a place that is so big, but we were able to get the little education and the little sort of village life kind of while growing up. And nothing really spectacular happened during my childhood days. It's just we lived a very, let me say, simple but enjoyable life. Do you understand why growing up? So I never traveled. I never ate pizza. I never ate shawarma until maybe university days. So, but I enjoyed my childhood days. Thank you, Mom.
Of course. And how did you make the move from where you grew up to Abuja? Can you walk us through that process? Because you live Abuja, for those that don't know much about Nigeria or its geography, that's the capital. It's kind of like the DC to the equivalent of DC in the US. Abuja is a federal capital territory.
Yeah. Okay. After my university days, I was to do internship, and I've written an interview at UNTH Enugu. I didn't get. So someone informed me lately that University of Abuja Teaching Hospital will be doing their interview. In fact, I heard it on a Saturday, on a Saturday, and the interview was on Monday. So I had to enter the bus the next day, being Sunday, to get to Abuja.
Wow.
I came with nothing. Even my CV, I didn't come with it. I was my induction was like a month later, so I didn't even come with my license or provisional license, something of sort. But as God may have it, I was allowed to sit for the exams, oral and written. And from the oral, they saw that it seems this one knows something small. And I was allowed to partake in the interview, and they took 24 people out of the thousands that came, and I happened to be one of them. So I did my internship at University Teaching Hospital Abuja. After then, I went on for my youth service, and I got a placement too in Abuja here, because after then I got married. So by virtue of marriage, to choose where you want to do your national youth service corps. So I chose Abuja, and I still got a placement. And since then, I've been working. I happen to, where I served, I was retained. So I'm still there from 2018 till this. So that's how I got to Abuja.
Speaking of marriage, I'm curious to know how that has, I suppose, how that's been, but how it's changed in light of, or I suppose, how it's changed in light of, the last 2 months, especially.
Spoiler alert.
I'm not sure if change is probably not the best word, but you know what I mean, like how it's
developed, how is it? Yeah, change maybe.
Yeah, I will tell you that nothing has changed. Nothing really has changed. In the last 2 months that we got the news, I think the bond has become too strong, or stronger, so to say, because my husband is too scared. He's not in the medical field, so he doesn't understand anything. He just feels that anybody that has cancer is dead already. In fact, he's freaking out. He was freaking out before now. Before I had to, sit him down, talk to him, give him hope. Yeah, he's not in the medical field, so he doesn't understand that if cancer is discovered early, it can be, at least the person has a high chance of survival. So he thought it was a death sentence. I am the one that keeps, telling him that this is not the end of the world. And I mean, he's worried also about finances, but just like I said, I'm keeping a positive attitude to all this. And I think he's raising up with it. He's trying to, adjust. He's been following me up and down to different hospitals, different appointments, and I still ask the doctors to talk to him on my behalf, to let him know that I can still be his wife forever. If you understand. So.
And I guess that kind of just shows the importance of having somebody, and thankfully a spouse, because cancer is a disease that consumes so much, and the way it consumes, you need something to counteract that consumption, and it can be in place of your community, your loved ones, and the society as a whole. Now, I'm still sticking with the family. I know you have 2 young kids, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. The 4-year-old, they might have a little bit of attitude, but they still don't really understand. What level of communication, if any, have you had with your daughters about what mom is going through right now? And I assume maybe not a lot, because they're still very young, correct?
Yeah, they're still very young. They've never even sensed anything, because we try to put up a positive attitude whenever they are around, especially, so they won't feel, because in the last 1 year I've gone through a lot. I've been through a lot. From the thyroid to surgeries to a lot of things.
I understand they're still young, and this is probably the best for now. So, as you know, one of the risk factors for breast cancer, which we already disclosed that you were just recently diagnosed with, is a family history, right? A positive family history of cancer, especially through the matriarchal line. So has there been any confirmation of maybe a family member, especially maybe your mom or any part of your family member, being diagnosed with that? And I say this with all carefulness, knowing that as Nigerians, and I might dare even say as Africans, we are not very quick in disclosing those diseases that have like strong genetic susceptibility.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, none. My mom has not been diagnosed of even breast lump. She doesn't have breast lump. I have 5 sisters, and none of them has ever complained that they had breast lump. But my aunt died of esophageal cancer. That's my aunt. That's youngest sister. Yeah, so that's all I know.
We didn't ask this in the beginning, but of your siblings, what's your position?
5th.
Huh?
Second to last.
Yeah, second to last one.
I'm the second to last.
Second to last one. All right.
Yeah.
What's your work been like? I'm curious if your work, if there's been any support from work, but I'm also just like wanting to know what like work is like for you. What's your typical day at work like?
Okay,
as a lab scientist.
Okay, from 2013 till 2020, I've been working on breast cancer and cervical cancer research, and I happen to be the lab spokesperson, or what do they call it again? The lab representative for the breast cancer research. So I still work on the cervical cancer aspect. All I did for those years was receive the samples, normal documentation, then for histology, know the processes, process the samples, they confirm that the histochemistry myself also, and still send out the slides to the pathologist. And then for the cervical cancer research, I did line probability for the samples. We recruited 12,000 women, and we did line probability. My own job on that area was the line probability I did for those women. Then from 2020, I was sent to another lab, which is multiplex bead assay lab, where the research is basically on enteric malaria, vaccine preventable diseases, and neglected tropical diseases. Basically that's is an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing, even though this second lab, we run shifts. You can be on morning, you can be on afternoon, but it's an everyday thing.
And then the second, I think he asked about if you're receiving support, at work for this. If any.
Yeah, they just raised a donation recently on my behalf, but I've not really heard anything from them. They just sent a reminder yesterday concerning that. Yeah.
Let's just even talk about some of the healthcare infrastructure. So I know one of the reasons why you need donation is, even though you have let's talk about the healthcare structure in Nigeria first. Before I talk about, I phrase my question. We run what we call an out-of-pocket model, which is characteristic of low-resource country, in the sense that the government, or even by extension, your employer, like you have in my side of the world, the bulk is supposed to take, they pass that bulk onto the end users, the consumers. And that's already a lot, because we're talking about people who, 7 out of 10 Nigerians are living in poverty, according to, world poverty statistics, I guess. So let's even go back to that model, which means that, when you have something like malaria, which, it's vector-borne disease, you'll pay everything out of pocket most of the time, and you can get by with that. But having cancer, wherever you are in the world, it's a known fact that cancer consumes, in every sense of that word, your finances, your body, your organs, and, everything that is rapidly growing, it's consuming it. So I know, because you told me this, and I want you to even expand on that. Even though you have a job that, you're employed by not just a large research institute, and there's some insurance that comes with that. But the HMO, which is the health maintenance, the health management organization or maintenance, I always forget the M on it. The HMO wouldn't pay for anything, not even the diagnostics part of it, nor the treatment part of it. Can you just walk us through? Because it's so unbelievable to me, as someone who has employment, and they wouldn't cover that.
Is clearly, actually, the day I went for my MRI, I went to the doctor and he requested a whole body MRI and the chest CT. I spoke with my HMO and they said they don't cover that. I was like, what? They say yes, because the doctor wrote on my request sheet that it was invasive ductal carcinoma, that anything that has entered cancer, that they don't cover it, even to drug, anything about it at all, that they're not covering it. And I already paid. I called them initially and they said, okay, we are not paying for whole body MRI, or you can go ahead and do it. We pay for abdominal and pelvic.
My boobs are not in my abdomen. My boobs are way up here. Okay.
Abdominal and so that I have to pay the difference. Then when they now sent the request for them to refund, they said that the request came with invasive ductal carcinoma. That means they're not going to pay. And I already paid like 157,000. And
you've been taking that from your salary, right? Like the deductions. Yes. Please, are you allowed to tell us this insurance company?
You pay immediately, not that they're taking it from your salary. You pay upfront. I paid upfront immediately. Like, it's not like they will be removing it little by little from your salary. In fact, in all honesty, I had to borrow that money that day to run the test that I needed to do. So, and actually, it's not their fault. Is what the organization tells them to cover that they will cover. I went back to check my organization's specifications. So my coverage, actually, our coverage, and I saw that anything cancer is not covered. So I don't think it's the problem of the problem is from the health insurance HMO. I think it's from the organization.
But that's quite dangerous, though. That's really dangerous.
It is.
And I think even more so because the kind of work you do, because I think we can only speculate at this point. You've worked on cell lines, you've worked with chemicals like formalin. So you think you actually have a strong feeling that you were exposed. Yes, carcinogenic. On the bottle, there's a call sign on it. Yes.
Yeah, and I worked with it for so many years.
Yes. How can they just, who's supposed to oversee this? You're a healthcare practitioner. What do you have to say about even this? Let me turn the question back to you as a co-host, which I'm breaking character, by the way, by doing that. But it just befuddles me how an organization can get away with this. It's like saying a pilot's insurance coverage is saying they cannot cover anything that has to do with plane crashes. Does that make sense?
Well, my guess is you'll probably say stuff like, if you are doing the precautions, then that should sort that out or something. That's usually how they tend to do that sort of thing.
I think, that could be a point. I think our healthcare system as a whole needs to be overhauled because you cannot get away with that in this part of the world. As a matter of fact, that should be like a mandatory coverage. Maybe there might be some cost sharing implications like your deductible, your copay, your premiums, but at least offer that. And especially with the rates young women in Nigeria now coming down on breast cancer and their male counterparts with prostate cancer. We need to talk about our national healthcare plan and how cancer needs to be forefront. Gone are the days of malaria. Malaria is not killing anybody anymore. We're living longer. And that's coming with the law of, non-communicable diseases like cancers and HIV and other, lifestyle associated factors, diseases like, heart conditions and diabetes. There needs to be an overhaul of our healthcare policies to cover for this. I think that's what we're feeling as a country. So, can you just walk us through the diagnosis? I should also commend you. You got diagnosed at stage 1, which is early. I've not heard anybody in a long while, especially in that side of the world, to be diagnosed at stage 1. The last time I saw stage 1 was in writing, like when I had to write it down somewhere. But it's been a while I had somebody, but it's usually stage 2 at best. But I see a lot of stages 3 and 4. What prompted you to go to the hospital? And before that time, were you always doing your yearly physicals? Can you just walk us through? Maybe you can see something we can learn from as proactive measures in, cancer detection, especially the early detection part of it.
Yeah. I've worked on breast cancer research for a long time. So I see a lot of young women, at least when they bring the samples, the age of the patient will be written there. I see a lot of young people come down with, so I became very, very afraid of cancer. So when immediately I noticed a tiny lump, I went to the hospital to do an ultrasound. They told me it was nothing to worry about. The ultrasound was not even catching it. I was really, really uncomfortable, but I went home. And a few months later, I felt it was growing, kind of. I went back for the ultrasound again. And they told me that. I told them that I'm having some kind of feeling that I don't just understand it. They did the scan. The radiographer told me that it's nothing to worry about. I can be hormone playing with me, something like that. I wasn't just comfortable. And then in August, that was first week, I now noticed another lump under my areola. I said no. I went back. They told me the same thing, that it was nothing to worry about. The scan couldn't catch it. I said, feel it with your hands and tell me if you can feel any lump. She did, and said, okay, I can feel something very small here, but it's nothing to worry about. And I said, no, please refer me to a doctor right away. And she did. She referred me to a general surgeon. That same day, I went to see the general surgeon. I told him, I even went with my scan results. He looked at it and said, the scan is saying it's benign. And I said, please, can you just feel it? He said, yes. Can you feel a lump? He said, yes. Can we remove it? He said, let's do a true cut biopsy. I said, don't do a true cut biopsy. Please do a lumpectomy and remove these lumps. So I insisted they remove. He said they are too small. I said, so far there is something there that is not breast tissues. Please help me remove them. Thank you very much. That was how he now scheduled me for 4th of August, and we had the lumps removed. And the lumps were removed, I would just say reluctantly, because they were very small. I think 1 cm or 1.5 cm or so. So nothing was suspected. And like the doctor said, that if he had suspected it was cancerous, he would have removed the margins also. So nothing like that was done. And it took another like a month and 1 week or so for the histology result to come out.
Yeah. Now looking back, do you regret having that surgery, or if you could do it again, you'd have had the margins and everything removed?
In fact, if I had my way, then I would have told him to cut off the breast immediately.
Oh, jeez, calm down.
You don't understand.
Angelina Jolie, calm down. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So when you did the histochemical and all the you've done all the pathology and all that. So
yes, I've done the histology. The
immunohistochemistry. So can you tell us like what is sensitive to, like, is it estrogen positive?
Estrogen positive, progesterone positive, and then Ki67 40%.
That's actually kind of good.
It's actually a mitotic marker.
Yes. But I think that's kind of good in a way, because at least what would be more expensive for you would be the gene profile, like your BRCA gene and all that, and then the scans to be sure. But as far as therapy, you don't have to go on the very expensive ones, especially compared to like someone that is triple negative.
Triple negative, that is very aggressive,
And it's more common in Nigerian women, especially. Yeah.
Well, we get a lot of them actually from the research we're doing.
Yeah. And for those that may lost at this, so when they do cancer testing, they look at some markers, and these are like receptors. So there's estrogen, there's progesterone, and there's HER2. So HER2, if you're negative for that, positive for that, you might be on Herceptin, for example. And we want a case where you're positive for at least progesterone and estrogen, because with that, you're able to use and I use this carefully, hormone therapy. It tends to be cheaper compared to if you're negative for those three things, meaning that the drugs that are available might not work, because drugs will work on receptors, right? If you're not estrogen positive, if you don't have the progesterone positive or a HER2, which is a biomarker for cancer, it means you're going out for a non-conventional form of therapy, which tends to be more aggressive, because this time around, you're not bringing a knife to a gunfight. You're coming with the bazookas, and that can also cause a lot of, it has implications for quality of life. And it's you talk about cancer being money guzzling. Triple negative breast cancer is one of the leading causes of double mastectomies in women that are younger than 40. Kosi. So the diagnosis, what went through your mind when you heard the C word? I work with a lot of cancer patients, and they always tell me patients who have survived cancer, let me phrase that carefully, tell me how that C word was almost like a death sentence. And I know it's still very fresh for you, but what went through your mind, if you can walk us through that time?
In all honesty, I wouldn't say I was expecting it, but I just had the feeling. I was just preparing my mind that it could be, or it was just 50-50 for me. Though the doctor was saying that it didn't look like anything, but I was just preparing my mind, working on my psychology, just to be balanced, be that strong woman that I've always been, So when I walked into the doctor's office and I saw his face, I smiled. He started with preaching first, you are one in, this is one case I see among 1,000 women that he just started talking. This happens to me once every year, where you get a tiny lump and it turns out to be. I just smiled. I think he expected me to start crying, but that smile, I was frozen. Literally, I froze. My mind went to my children. In fact, as we were driving back, I told my husband, I'm not worried about you so much, because I know you sort yourself out. I'm so worried about these children. So all my mind, all my worry, is still on these children that, they are still very young. They need me now, in fact, it's not something I like talking about, because it gets me so emotional.
It's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to force yourself. Just take your time and say as much as you feel comfortable to, and don't feel any pressure to go beyond that. I do want to ask, and obviously again, like what I've just said just applies. Like, feel free to go as not deep as you want. What have you found most helpful? Because obviously, I know in this sort of thing, you get all sorts of responses, and I'm sure you've got,
that as well.
I'm sure you've got your share of.
I really hate that word,
right? I work with I work in psychiatry, and I work with lots of people with, not cancer, but with, mental health issues. And you I think once it comes to these sorts of things that people are not as familiar with personally, the responses just tend to get really weird. So I'm sure you've got more than your share of that. But what have you found to be helpful? Whether responses or interactions that you were like, wow, this really touched, hit the spot for you.
Yeah. Okay. Family wise, they've really been wonderful with encouragement and with prayer and everything. But some other people, like friends, when you tell them, they'll be like, oh my God, are you serious? Jesus, these are, So I just stopped talking to those people. I only talk to professionals now. Like the day I spoke more about it, the day she finally talked to me, she was like, no, don't worry, calm down. There's nothing to worry about. Your stage is still early. It's still, that kind of thing. So these are the responses that has, really strengthened me so much. So most professionals I talk to, they tend to, give me that word of encouragement that keeps me going. But if I know that you're the kind of person that I will talk to and you will not be able to, give me a positive response, or throw me off balance, I won't even mention it. Even if you're very, very close to me, I won't mention it. So, and then reading up from internet, it really threw me off balance, so I stopped. I read all sorts of things, trust me.
The great Dr. Gogo.
PhD holder, you gotta give it to them. You
don't want to know. Oh God.
I know, because it's out of context, isn't it? It's a wealth of information with zero context for your person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your personal, context and which a good professional would have in consideration. And I think that's the danger. It's just like, and then of course your mind latches onto the worst information, doesn't it?
Yep. It's void of a relationship.
Exactly.
Yep. You don't have that relationship to bounce off of anybody to assess you.
So what would you say to someone who has a family member or a loved one of some kind who is going through this? What would you, from what you've experienced, what would you say is, obviously everybody's story is different, but what would you say to someone who's wondering, how can I support someone like this that I happen to know? What would you say from your experience, from what you found helpful? What would you suggest if you could say 3 things that they should think about or consider?
Just think about the best person to talk to. Or if I know them personally, if I know their family personally, I'll probably talk to them about the situation. That is, this person needs maximum support, not just financially, emotional support, a lot of emotional support, because the person's mindset is, it needs to be worked on, kind of. And without people's support, without that positive support, the person might not, in this case, if you ask me, if you think you actually die, but in my own feeling that this will come and go, this will still pass. So it's just encouragement. Be with people that encourage you. Be with people that, give you that positive, I don't know if I use positive vibe, if it makes sense. You understand? That just get as much support as you can. That's it.
Is there any kind of support that you think you would like that you haven't gotten yet, but you think would be helpful?
Apart from the financial bit of which we'll talk about.
Apart from what you've got so far.
Captain obvious.
Is there something that you feel like is missing?
I don't think is something you can help me with. Presently, I need a house help. Like, I'm stressed out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Even, man, there's a limit to what they can do. My husband helped a lot in the house. In fact, he's not a typical Nigerian man or a typical Igbo man will not do as much as he's doing. But I'm still really stressed somehow, and I still feel that maybe when I'm away for my treatment, I might need someone at home. When my husband is with me, someone to be with
take care of the kids,
and and things like that. Yeah.
Might I just jump in and say, do you have a church? Are you part of a Christian church as well?
Oh sure. I spoke with my home cell leader.
Yeah, usually here they have like a sign-up sheet where people can help with.
Are they helping?
Yeah, they're helping.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Might I even suggest something? Maybe because here in this part of the world, they're so quick to do it. They have a sign-up sheet. Who's gonna do home food runs, deliver cooked meals, help with grocery, help clean your house. But maybe in your own case, you might have to articulate what you need. Maybe ask your cell leader, this is kind of help I need in case anybody is wanting to help in addition to your prayers, of course. Do you think that's something you might be comfortable doing?
Nobody will do that, say.
But don't say that though. Don't say that though. They might just do that.
You know, there's a cultural aspect to this stuff though, Tolani.
Okay, tell me. Maybe I've lost it. Maybe I've lost.
No, just like culturally, I don't think we have that culturally in our sort of Christian communities.
I see.
Part of the problem being that a lot of churches in Nigeria are not necessarily, especially in the cities, they're not necessarily very community focused. In the rural parts, a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, which it's unfortunate, but yeah.
So, not to the churches that are listening to this, please, when we say we should do life together, all these small groups are forming, after this is life. This is it. Life doesn't get better than this is the life we're talking about. It's not just when we come and be thumping Bibles and casting and binding. Okay.
Sorry, I'm
go ahead.
You.
No, of course.
Talk to churches about this type, they will say no. Just pray, God will do it. You don't need any medication. You don't need to go to hospital.
That's the other problem. It's actually unhelpful stuff sometimes.
Sorry, go ahead. Somebody has told you that. What?
That God will do it. I don't need any medication. I don't need to go for any surgery. But am I saying that God cannot do this one? Am I God? I'm telling God that He does not know how to do. In fact, my immediate family.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
You can imagine.
I don't know why people would think that God and using the hands of doctors and all that is still not God. Don't they know that people can, have like the best surgical team and they still die from surgeries? Yeah, you're right. It's a narrative problem, but it's gonna take more than one episode to start fixing that. Kosi, so as someone, so my line of work is really to look at, I deal mostly with men with prostate cancer, and I've learned a lot, even though I don't have a prostate. But I think one of the things that comes with, cancer, being on the cancer trajectory is that there's this reframing of your life, your priorities, like everything becomes clearer. Maybe before cancer, you were, I'm not saying everybody should go have cancer to have that clarity, but we can talk about the things cancer takes away from you, but we can also look at the things that you gain. And I say that carefully, but I would say, even though it's still fairly new, you're still in the early stage of it, but I know soon and very soon you cross to that very end of survivorship where you start thriving, way more than where you are right now, and maybe even turn that into advocacy. But in the short, few months you've, been going through this, has there been, ways you say it has changed your life? Maybe positively? And I want to be careful how I say that because, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've actually changed my eating pattern. In fact, before now, I can eat my apple by this time and comfortably go to bed immediately. Or I've been watching carefully what I eat. consciously adding vegetables to my diet or fruits. Before now, I don't mind. Anything goes. I can eat anything, anytime, anywhere. But now I'm more careful with what I eat, and then I'm deliberate about it to add vegetables or fruits to my daily diet. So I'll say that's a positive thing that this situation has done for me. Before now, I'm very careless. I had a very bad eating habit, like very, very bad. So, and now I'm more conscious of storage. I don't store food for long again in my freezers. I just get whatever I need and finish it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's a positive one.
That's good. How about on the emotional side? Like from my experience with interacting with the people I work with, they talk about how they're able to kind of declutter their mind, like things they used to fuss about, like all the the ups and downs of life and the things we get bothered with. Like, you know what? No, this is nothing anymore. Like there's a new perspective again. And I think it might not even be relevant for you now because you're still in the very thick of things. But maybe next time because I want to bring you back after you've done your therapy and you've gotten that clean bill of health. Maybe we can explore this further. So I'll hold this question for now. Okay. Now let's talk about the very last bit, which is very important, right? And it's one of the reasons why I brought you on the show. So there are two things I'd like to say first. I know on the episode with superpowers and communities that I did with Ayomide, I talked about my super strength being connecting people and doing what I can do to bring people together for a common cause, and that opportunity was presented to me recently. So the first time Kosi reached out to me and said she's been diagnosed with cancer and all that, she was very gracious in the sense that she didn't tell you how I first responded. I actually wasn't sure how to, she said she needed, money and finances. And I'm like, go back again to the community. We just asked for money for my friends, my sister's fibroid surgery. I felt a little bit icky about it, but I want to just say that talking to Tolu, which we're going to talk about in a bit, Tolu, for those who don't know, she runs Cancer Aware, a wonderful, wonderful NGO for profit organization. So myself, Kosi, and Tolu, we all were part of that cohort in the that summer fellowship I talked about through the National Cancer Institute. And Tolu is more on the advocacy side. She helps to connect women to timely treatment. She's really into gynecologic cancers like breast, ovarian, and cervical. So I told Kosi to reach out to Tolu. Because Tolu's in Nigeria, she knows how to help, you get discounts on medications that might be otherwise expensive, get even discounts at the diagnostic labs and all that. So after talking to Tolu called me back and we had a full debriefing, and I realized that I couldn't stay quiet, as much as I'm uncomfortable going out there in the community and start harvesting money. I know that someone listening to this wants to be a blessing to Blessing or Kosi. So that said, it's my birthday around the corner. So I'm phrasing this carefully. Not that it matters to anybody listening, but if you've been following the show for a while, every year there's always something I raise money for, either education or fibroid surgery, or last year was actually my other friend's sister, who was going to have a double mastectomy, and we raised some funds for her. This time around, I'm coming. If you would like to give me a birthday present, I'd like for that to be converted as a donation towards Kosi's medical treatment, because I want her to be here for her kids. She has a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. And as I'm saying this right now, I'm getting emotional because I cannot even imagine the fear she has as a mom. So I'm making a public plea to anyone listening to this. Please consider donating towards the GoFundMe, which will be linking to this episode. But Kosi, I would like for you to tell us just the financial implications you're in, because you did mention earlier on that not too long after receiving the COVID vaccine, you were diagnosed with thyrotoxicosis, and that's actually a chronic condition, and you had to undergo surgery, which also, thyrotoxicosis, I said that, yeah, which also drained a lot of your savings. Remember, in our country, we have to save towards healthcare. We don't get anything to fall back on. it's been from the hospital to another, she's been in and out of surgery, and now breast cancer. It's like, come on, a lady needs a break. But tell us, articulate just the financial implications of the things you need. I know in the beginning stage of it, you need to do a lot of diagnostic tests, which is very expensive in a low resource country like our country, Nigeria. But I would like for you to, in your own words, to, take this time now to appeal to those that might be listening, how much you need and how we can, be of help to you.
I don't know where to start from. Actually, I've been through a whole lot more. I don't want to go into it because it makes me so emotional. I've gone through major surgery this year, just in July. That's after, recovering a little bit from the thyroidosis, which, by the way, I'm still on drugs. That the financial implication is still high on me, and then cancer sets in again. I've done quite some tests. Like I mentioned earlier, I've done the histology, the chemistry, the MRI, full body MRI, the PET-CT, and all these costs above 500,000
naira, which is a lot.
And there's still a lot to be done. The PET scan is done only in Lagos.
Now, how much is that?
500,000.
Yes, that's almost like $800. Yeah.
Then the BRCA test is 58,880. That's in naira. So that's above 1.1 million naira already. And I'm in Abuja. I have to get to Lagos, the logistics and everything. Then the doctors with the bill, and just the doctor I saw yesterday told me I'll be followed up and treated for like 5 years. I don't know. I've never heard this before. And then the professor I spoke with today again told me that breast cancer is a journey that the treatment takes a long time.
Yeah, it's usually the follow-up. So in that 5 years, you might be going to the doctor like 6 months. It might not necessarily be that you're going to, but you have to be in that constant communication. I think that's what they mean by that. Yeah, there's the active phase and there's the follow-up phase, okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Because I can contrast that to so my patients when they go, they have their workup. Maybe they are doing radical prostatectomy or radiation. They'll have the active phase for the treatment, and once that is done, then every 6 months they have to follow up. They do their PSCs to be sure it's under control. So that's what they probably want you to be coming in for. Yeah, because you remember, let's say 5-year survival, right? That's what they actually look at. Then after the 5 year, then they can now ring that bell, like, okay, you're free. Yeah.
And I was meant to understand that these preliminary tests, like PET scan, that will still need to do it again in the future to confirm that there is nothing again or something like that. So the financial implication is really, really is scary.
Yep.
So to say, it's really scary to me. It's something we can't do this alone. We can't even dive into it because right now I don't know where to start from. But with your help, with everyone's help, I'll be able to go through this. I'm already positive that I'm going to survive. But I need, everyone's help to, to be able to come out of this.
Thanks for articulating that. I think you did that beautifully. And I wanted to even ask, So all these things you mentioned, we're looking at millions of naira, right? And according to Tolu, who I mentioned earlier, from her experience, and Tolu's story is so beautiful. She was in the finance side of things. She switched to cancer advocacy because she had a scare. Thank God it wasn't cancer, but she's done everything to keep helping women in Nigeria, especially indigent women, get access to timely care and coordination of care, and even, running her own survivorship support group and all that. She suggests that whatever amount you need, you should double that by 2, just to adjust for inflation and other things that might, come up in the future. But if you can even contrast that, you don't have to tell us the exact figure. How much would you say is your yearly salary or even monthly salary in comparison to everything you need right now? Because I want to paint a picture of, even if you had saved and all that, with all the health issues you've had, there's no savings to fall back on.
My savings are drained to the last. My monthly salary is nothing to compare with. Even if I have to stay for 2 years to go through this, I won't save half of it. That's the truth.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Kosi. More and I will keep thinking about what else we can do to not just support, but also find out, connect you to other people as well, who will be interested in supporting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But thank you for coming on to share your story and just this sort of courage that you're facing all of this with.
Thank you so much, Ayomide.
Yes. Yes, Kosi, we'll send out the link out to everyone. So everyone listening, with this show note, you'll get a link. Please consider donating. So $5 is going to be like 3,500 naira, which is something significant. So don't say, oh, it's too small. We're not going to judge. You can privately send to me if you're free. You can make it anonymous. We just need those change, guys, to change Kosi's life. We want her to be here to work her daughters, down the, you're not working your daughters down. Your husband is going to do that. But to do a more good for her her daughters, and just living life for her daughters and all that, and also live a rich life and fulfilling life. And we can get to help her with that. So I'm going to put all of that in the show now. Kosi, are there any things we forgot to talk about that you'd like for us to mention before we go?
No, I just want to thank you, to thank the people that are yet to donate. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for, being on this platform, appealing to people to help me. We'll come back to share the testimony, hopefully.
Yes.
When we beat this cancer. Because we're going to beat it.
Let's make a date to meet in a year's time and look back at today, and I can't even wait to see the stories that come from it. But yes, I'll be in touch with you definitely. We have a workup plan to set up that GoFundMe, which I'm helping her set up, by the way, and we're working with one of her friends to partner up and raising more awareness for Kosi's needs. Well, Kosi has been. Thank you. It was honored. We're honored that you came on the show. I know it's pretty late in Nigeria. You could have been resting as you need. Your much needed rest. But thanks for just sharing your journey with us. And we'll be in touch, like Ayomide said. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kosi.
All right, everyone.
Ayomide, you're welcome.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
And,
this has been the show.
As they say in Yoruba,
you understand Yoruba, right?
I don't. It's my husband that speaks Yoruba.
It means that you'll be here with us for a long time. You're not going anywhere anytime soon. Yes. And I'll be reaching out to our NCI cohort as well. So for our NCI cohort friends, we'll be sending you an email. Please consider donating. This is Kosi, very Coco, like you guys call her. Sprite. Coco needs help. All right, everyone. On behalf of everyone on the show, thank you for listening today. Don't forget to click on the link to support Kosi and also listen to other episodes from the podcast. Well, this has been the show with Mo and
Ayomide.
All right then. Bye everybody, and take care. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So when the episode comes out, just